Thank you all so much for joining us today. Today's webinar is focused on direct bookings, the importance of direct bookings, practical strategies, good tips, talking points on how to increase your direct bookings. Obviously, it's a difficult time at the moment, and bookings and revenue is king. So the more easy actions we can implement, the better. And so very, very happy to have Damien Sheridan with us today. He'll be sharing with us some of his knowledge and expertise on the matter. Damien.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Avantio guys. I'm Damian Sheridan. I'm from Ireland. I brought up in Ireland, lived in the UK for 20 odd years, and then I've moved to Spain over the last couple of years, although I'm kind of between Spain and the UK. My involvement in our industry goes back to about 2003, when I bought an apartment in southern Spain, and I started renting it out. Those were very different days. 17 years ago, there was no Airbnb, and a lot of other online portals were very, very different in those days. So I started out building a website, a truly horrific website that it was very different and very clunky, a lot more so than it is today. There was no easy CMSs like WordPress or anything. So I go back a long way. Most of my bookings back in those days came by print advertising, and I guess that's hard to believe for a lot of people these days. A different era, cards in local shop windows, etc. So I traditionally I've worked in business travel up until about 7 years ago, when I made the move into SEO, and since then I've been working almost exclusively on SEO, which is search engine optimization, and for vacation rental managers and property managers. And more recently, that's led to a couple of events, just all related to the direct booking movement. So that's me in a nutshell, Carl.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. So we are talking about direct bookings today. That is the topic of the call. And I think it's important to give a definition of what we mean by a direct booking. So what is a direct booking? What's the definition?
Yeah, it's a surprisingly tricky one to answer, and obviously a lot of people do ask me this. Some people would say that a direct booking, must come through your website, for example, just come to you directly. I would slightly differ on that. My main criteria for a direct booking is one that you've got full control over. It's one where you've got full access to your guest data, and you can communicate with them in any way you want. You're not reliant on a third-party platform, and where you can apply your own conditions, the payment terms, methods of payments, cancellations, deposits, etc. You've got full control over that booking. So that, for me, is the definition of a direct booking, Carl. Yeah, and I believe they can still come from third parties and listing sites, where you can pay a subscription, and you get the full details sent to you, and then the booking is yours for you to take over and for you to work on that data. As an SEO, I primarily work with owners on their websites, and on various platforms, but predominantly on their websites, just to help them get more traffic. So various things. I would suggest making sure your website is running fast and has got good page speed loading. There are various tools to use, GT metrics and Google page speed insights I would definitely recommend. Making sure your site, you've got a security certificate is very important. Making sure your booking funnel and your sales funnel is actually streamlined. And what I mean by this is that inevitably, or most likely on your website, you will have a booking button whereby people either can book straight there and then, or they might have to go off to another platform. But just to make that process as simple as possible and to reduce the amount of clicks on there, because with every extra click your visitor has to make, that you are more likely to use them. Some statistics suggest that you're going to lose 50% of people with every extra click. So try and minimize the amount of clicks. you know, don't be upselling anything before they actually buy. You don't need to register them before they buy. Get that sale in first of all before you actually try to do anything else. And just, I would certainly suggest getting your friends and family to go through that booking funnel and just see, hey, is this as easy as I think it is to make a booking on our site? Because I come across this a lot of sites, it's not easy to book, and it should be really straightforward. Trust in your website is of utmost importance. There's various ways of doing this. Making sure your site is secure, first of all, is hugely important with that HTTPS security certificate. But also making sure if you've got any accreditations, local memberships, you know, Chamber of Commerce's or anything like that, that you have those up front and center. People can see you're a member of certain associations. It instills trust in your visitor when they come on. Also, if you are verified, I'm not sure if Chris from iPrac is listening, but the iPrac have a great platform where they can verify your agency or your properties, and it just lets your visitor know that you are that there's no risk of fraud or anything like that. You are a legitimate offering, a legitimate business. What else would I suggest? Video is an amazing tool and so underutilized by most, even big property management companies. For a start, great way of keeping people on your site for longer, which search engines like Google love, but also just really engages people. And people can kind of, you know, they can see either on your site, on your YouTube channel even, they can see what you're all about. And I would suggest you have interviews with yourself, but also your property. You know, walk them through your property, walk them through your local area, and let them know what you're all about. You know, it certainly makes your business less anonymous and a bit more open and a bit more friendly, for want of a better word. And guest reviews as well, something that I must admit I'd never really even thought of up until about a year ago. You know, we all have our testimonials or review pages on our site, but getting your previous guests to actually send through a video of them talking about your property and their stay at your property. It's such a relatively easy thing to do, you know, and you can incentivize them with discounts to do that. But then if you know, on your homepage or on your testimonials page, if you can actually embed a video or two of your previous clients telling your prospective clients how great their stay was, it's really easy and a really great way to make your reviews stand out a little bit more. One thing that's massively important as well, and as we're talking about direct bookings, is, I mean, and it's so easy, but so many of us get it wrong, is to make sure you have best price guaranteed up front and center on your homepage. When people get there, they know they're not going to get a better deal elsewhere. Now, hey, some of the OTAs might, you know, at times undercut us, and you know, there's not an awful lot sometimes we can do about that. It shouldn't be the case, but our price should always be, you know, the best price, or at least equal to. But I would make sure you always have best price guaranteed, and also all of those incentives to book direct with you, again, on your website and on your homepage as well. And I've seen some brilliant examples of this recently. Things like, you know, what can you offer someone who books direct with you? An earlier check-in, a later check-in, a free welcome pack, free storage, you know, before or after your stay. You know, there's so many things. Free breakfast, maybe at a local cafe. There's so many little incentives that you can offer like that they know they're not going to get if they book through an OTA. So give them that little carrot, and yeah, it can work really, really well.
You make a very good point, and some people do it well. They really advertise it, and they, you know, there's a pop-up right in your face when you get on the website, or there's something on the homepage. But I do see a lot of people who don't really, you know, make that distinction and don't really sell it on their website, you know. Yeah. And it is often the case, and most often the case, that people's website is the lowest price, because, you know, people are increasing the price, of course, on, you know, via a channel manager, on Booking, on Airbnb, on all the portals. So yes, I mean, really, set yourself up a pop-up, put something on your homepage, you know, make it stand out so it can't be missed, so that the tourist really realizes that, you know, give yourself half a chance, you know.
Yeah, and I'd make sure you
actually
include as well that they're not going to pay any extra booking fees by booking with you as well, because obviously that is the case with a lot of OTAs too.
Yeah, definitely. How are we what are the best practices to get people to our website? I've something that people use very well is something called billboarding. And by that term, I mean, you know, being clever with the name of your listing, right? Because people will use OTAs almost as a search engine, almost as a second Google, you know?
Yeah.
I'll do it myself. I'm sure you probably do too. I'll go on the OTA or the portal, the Airbnb, and find the property that I like. And then I'll try and find that direct property manager, if it's clear that it's a property manager. So sort of how can people adapt their listing to try and get the tourist to their website?
Yeah, it's a really good point. And I mean, a lot of this is down to branding. I mean, I'd say in terms of images that you're going to use, you do have to be careful by abiding. If you're thinking of visitors going to an OTA, seeing something on your images where they can, you know, see a best price, you know, go to our website, you've got to be careful with that, because I've seen companies lose their listings just like that for doing that. Yep. So I probably wouldn't advise that necessarily, because, well, yeah, for exactly that reason, OTAs may kick you off. But in terms of branding, the name of your business or the name of your property, yeah, I mean, that's so easy. Just to make sure that in your listing, in your listing description, you've got the name of your actual property. So people don't have to, you know, delve too much into a bio or anything like that. They know what your business is called. They can go off then and just find you easily. And again, this is going to come down to your SEO and making sure that your branding has been done well with your website, with your title tags and all of the things involved in SEO. But yeah, really important. I mean, branding is something that I think 90% of property managers don't really kind of take for granted and don't really look into enough. One person I'd really recommend for this is Louise Brace of Rental Tonic. She did an amazing talk at one of the conferences I did in February, just all about branding, all about why you should be booking with us. And yeah, so I'd recommend checking her out. But yeah, just making sure, you know, at very least, you have a name for your business, because just putting down 2-bedroom apartment in Marbella or something like that, you know, people aren't going to find you through doing that without them really seeing clearly what your business name is or your property name. Hopefully, then if they come onto search engines to try and find you, they will through the search engine results or the knowledge panel, which is down the right hand side. I'm talking about Google here specifically, and your Google My Business profile is going to be of utmost importance here to make sure that if you work on that, your brand name will be up front and center on that clear knowledge panel on the right hand side. Really easy to find you that way. So yeah, I totally agree with that, Carl.
Very good. Yeah. Have you covered the Google My Business part? Have you gone into that?
No, well, yeah, I mean, Google My Business is so important. And again, something a lot of us don't even claim our listings. First thing, if anyone hasn't done it yet, claim your listing on Google My Business. It's really easy to do. You get a postcard sent out to your address to verify your address. And it's just a case of going in and making sure everything is ticked, everything is done, all of your services and amenities are chosen. You've got descriptions, you are engaging with your reviews, you get your short name. I mean, it's almost too much for me to cover here, Kyle. There's a lot. Loads of high-res images is one of the most important things, I'd say. But I'm going to, I said to you before, I'm going to post something on the Avantio Facebook group or one of your groups from, again, one of the speakers, Phil Tester, who did a fantastic talk on Google My Business. at my last event, and I'll put that on there. It's how to optimize your Google My Business profile. Really, really useful. So yeah, it's something I'd certainly recommend for everyone here.
How important are reviews in general? And sort of, you know, how is that going to change, do you think, or evolve, you know, given the situation?
Yeah, I mean, they're massive. I think everyone on here would know the power of reviews, you know, and how people do use reviews in terms of their search and their final decision making. Personally, on my website, I would probably aggregate your reviews from a number of your listing sites, so you can bring them all together. And you know, you can even link back to your listings if you want, you know, just so people can actually see that they're legitimate and they have come from those, you know, your Airbnbs and your bookings of this world. So yeah, that, in terms of your website, that's what I would probably recommend. There's no harm at all in reviews being on your website and another listing site. Google is a big place that I would recommend people to try and get reviews from. And it really does help in your ranking as well. So you can get a short name now in your Google My Business profile, which is really easy to send out to all of your previous guests. And then they can, yeah, very simply, they'll probably automatically be logged into Google. So they can really simply write your review there. And then essentially that helps with your local SEO on Google. And then you can just take that and just bring that into your own site. So yeah, they'd probably be my recommendations. But look, I know there's a lot of people here who are going to spend years building up their number of good reviews on listing sites, you know, and you obviously you don't want to lose that, and you want to kind of nurture that as well, you know. And obviously I'm not about OTA bashing at all, as we spoke about online yesterday, Kyle. It's, you know, OTAs have a great place, you know, they mean a lot to all of us, and they will continue to for quite a while. But for me, it's all about diversification and looking at now getting for the future, you know, looking at alternative sources of bookings. And Google is a big one, you know, and done right, you can start to really be visible on Google and for people to come to your site that way. So yeah, reviews is a big part of that, and responding to reviews on Google is really important too. So yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you know, there's always one, isn't there? As I said, there's always going to be a bad review. But I think responding to them it shows as a consumer, you know, we've all been on holiday. We've all looked at, you know, we go to TripAdvisor and look for the good restaurants, you know, and there's always a few people that leave bad reviews. But even when you see someone respond constructively and politely and professionally to the review, you know, we all understand that, you know, there will be negative reviews, but it's nothing to be you know, afraid of, I suppose, as long as you can respond.
Yeah, you know, and for me, if I, you know, for me, there's nothing wrong with actually having occasional negative reviews in there. It makes, you know,
real.
A bit more authentic, a bit more real. Exactly. Yes. Not 100% gave you 5 stars or whatever. You know, there'll be some people who said, it was okay, or, you know, some may have had a problem. But, you know, keeping in contact with your guests during their stay is a really great way to eliminate that. And making sure the day before they leave, just to say, hey, has everything been great? You know, drop them an email or an SMS. SMS marketing is really, really efficient. Really, it's a really great way to keep in contact with people, and very underutilized as well. So yeah, I would recommend keeping in contact with people during their stay, you know, not blasting them every day, but just maybe once the day they arrive, once the day before they leave. It's a great way to eliminate any negative reviews.
Absolutely, yeah. Obviously, well, you and I, we do the show circuit, or we did the show circuit within the sector. And so, you know, you end up traveling a lot, working in the tourism business, of course, which is fantastic, and one of the reasons why we love it. And we always try as a company to stay with customers wherever we go, you know. If it's possible, if it's at all possible, we will stay with a customer, an Avantio customer. And you do pick up some very good tips, you know. Customers in London, they have, you know, their own sort of branded pillows, cushions, you know, but even tea bags, you know, it's little things like that which helps, because you if you're like me, you'll take the tea bags home with you. And it just sort of helps to keep the brand, as you sort of were mentioning earlier, in mind, and know that you are staying with a real company that you could book direct with.
Yeah.
You know,
you're not kind of in line with you saying that. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, go on.
Just while I think of it, you know, obviously our industry has gone very much towards automated tools and to make the check-in process as simple as possible for a lot of people. You know, smart locks, you don't have to see anyone. But I think what's been lost a lot with that is actually the value of face-to-face, of meeting someone. And I think there's real value there in terms of if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes upon arrival, you've either yourself or you've got someone who you can give, you know, 15, 20 euro to, just to say, hey, you know, check someone in, give them the Wi-Fi codes or whatever, and just make sure they first of all, they're welcome, but they find out, you know, why are they there? Is there anything that they can do to really help? You know, are you going to stay again? Here's the, you know, 10% discount for the next time you stay. That's a really, really good and, you know, relatively cheap way to get people to come back to you. And if you know why they're there as well, you know, you can add them to a very specific database list as well, if they're coming for a specific event or, you know, a particular activity or something like that. So, you know, you can target them very, very specifically.
Absolutely.
Next time, email marketing.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, staying with a customer recently in London, and, you know, they had a business card left on the table. You know, it was a business card with the brand. Stay with us next time, and you get, you know, 10% off. Use this code. And I thought, what a genius idea! So simple. How much does it cost to print off 1,000 business cards?
Yeah.
How much money could you save from just having printed off 1,000 business cards? If you got 1% conversion from 1,000 business cards, I'm not going to do the math now, but that's a lot of money. That's a huge return from something so simple.
Yeah, that's one of the things actually that I did kind of way back in the day as well, and it's something that's carried on to be really effective for many years. It's one of the first things I would say to any client actually to drive repeat business. So easy, so easy.
Yeah, it's easy, it's quick, it's cheap and effective. Yeah. Maybe you've touched on it already, but obviously it's very, very important for us to get the real contact details of a guest. You mentioned it right at the beginning. What is a direct booking? Well, it's someone where I have, you know, I have control over, and I have the contact details. Maybe you touched on that while I was panicking and trying to fix my internet, but maybe it's quite obvious, but it needs to be stressed. You know, we have to get the real email address, the real contact information of the guest, you know. Airbnb and Booking.com have their own email addresses, but it's amazing how many people don't, you know, take the actions needed to get the real contact information and try and get a repeat booking, which is then a direct booking.
Yeah, the onus is on us to make sure we get the data for every single guest, you know, and that's, again, that's really easy, you know, if it's just a Google form that you're going to send to every booker, just to say, hey, you know, let us make your booking as you know, as pleasurable as possible. Let you know, sign up, use this form, give us your details, you know, and we can give you an earlier check-in or something like that. Very easy subject field as well. What's your email address? Then you've got it, or their phone number, mobile number for SMS, etc. But something I'd also add. We're all inclined just to look at the lead guest data, but we're also really missing out on getting all of the parties' guest data.
Good point. Very good point.
So I would, and not only that, also friends and family. You know, are there friends and family who you would potentially recommend our place to? You know, it could be before or after the stay. You know, have a form that could send that out on your site, and then you've got all their details too. Obviously, you make sure they have to be opted in too. So they will have to do that afterwards. But yeah, really easy way to if your database is not very big, if you've got only 1 or 2 people on it, now is a great time to be doing that. To be, you know, to be just getting in contact with all of your previous guests, and make sure, you know, can you opt them into a newsletter, and for all your future guests, just make sure you get that email address. Probably one of the most important things. And as I said, the onus is on us to do that with every single guest. In guests, like non-lead guests, non-paying guest included.
Definitely, yeah. And I think, as you say, incentivizing is key, you know? If there's a carrot, then people are more likely to do that. I know we have a customer in Portugal who implements sort of a loyalty program, like you referred to. If you're referring people and they come stay with us, then later on, of course, we'll reward you for doing that, and it seems to work very well for them.
Take the opportunity to thank everyone for joining us today. It was very insightful, very useful, and if you manage to put in any of the small tips and tricks, they should be a big benefit to you. Okay, thank you all so much, and we'll leave it there for now. See you later. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.